All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is CJ. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's the CJ Curry Show, and you know it's presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is making daily fantasy sports easy by letting you pick 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 of your favorite stars from your favorite sports. You combine those, choose whether they're going to go for more or less than their projection, and you can win up to 25 times your money in a single day. So shout out to PrizePicks for giving me a promo code Curry, which will get you a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit up to $100, making your first entry on PrizePicks completely risk-free. Take advantage by using the link down in the description below. All right. Shout out to everybody who's joining me this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Maybe it's afternoon where you're at. Happy afternoon if it is. We got ourselves a unique NBA schedule today. It's kind of a small NBA slate, but we do have an early game that's tipping off here at 3 p.m. Eastern time in the next 3 hours over in Paris, France. So shout out to the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons who will be taking the floor in Paris. Should be a good time. Should be a good time. Let's run through the chat real quick. We got Curvy Clay in the building. He says, "You've been the GOAT since I started betting. Keep up the good work." Curvy Clay, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that compliment. Jerron J-Star says, "Yo, CJ, what's up? How do you feel about Harden today on threes or points?" Well, we'll talk about some James Harden. Hold off on your questions. We'll get to your questions, and I'll hopefully provide answers for you toward the end of today's show. Nolan, yo, shout out to you. A little bit of James Harden hate coming from Nolan Carey. Says, "Harden sold last time. I'm not taking him again." Well, you know what I like to say. After a flop, I like to go back to a prop. So maybe we should be thinking about James Harden. We can dig into that in just a little bit. No Limit's in the building. What's up, No Limit? Back in action. Let's have ourselves a day. Hey, you flex. I got to flex back. Thanks for being here, Mr. No Limit. Fear Shaolin. Shout out to you. Appreciate you being here as well. One of our Patreon members. Shout out to everybody who's in the Patreon gang who's joining me. I appreciate everybody's support through Patreon. Thank you for supporting the show, the channel, and all the content that I put out there for you guys. Todd's in the building. Todd hit himself a 6-pick flex entry. He put 5 on it. And he won 125. He put 5 on it. His name is Todd. Hey, shout out to Todd, man. My man went 6 for 6, 25x payout, turning that $5 into $125. Now that's a good return on investment. Who else we got in here? Nigel, shout out to you. Tyrone, good morning. Harden sold us last time. I'm getting back on the train, getting back on the Harden train. I feel you. Broderick's in the building. We got Everyday Fantasy. What it do, fam? Gave y'all another one yesterday. That's 2 for 2. Shout out to the chef and Patreon. Everyday Fantasy. That's our guy, aka Don P. Okay, for those of you who are in the Discord, who are in the Patreon, y'all know Don's always coming through with some good information. Anthony Diaz, shout out to you. What's up? What's up? Wildman Booker says, "What's up, fam? Need the plus 100 or better picks today. Let's get the bag." Oh, you're trying to cash out big. You play on those sports books, huh, Wildman Booker? I feel you. Sub-Zero, need a 2-leg lock today, Bubba. I hear you, brother. I need it too. What's up, y'all? Kips is in the building. I see you, Kips. Who else we got in here? We got Based Trip. We got DeJuan Jones. He's loving the singing. He's loving the tunes that I'm putting forward. Jonathan Bishop, another day, another dollar. Love the energy. Amber, stream choppy or is it just me? Hopefully it's just you. I don't know if it's choppy. Hopefully it's not choppy. Kenny's in the building. Shout out to Kenny. All right, let's go ahead and pick today's 2-pick power play winner. So in case you guys have never been here before, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, every single day that I go live, every time I do one of these shows, I'm picking somebody to win a risk-free 2-pick power play on PrizePicks. Somebody from the comment section from the previous show will get a risk-free 2-pick power play. You get both of those picks right, you win $100 on PrizePicks. I'm doing this every single day. All you have to do to qualify is be a subscriber, like today's video, and then once I end today's show, go to the comment section, comment your favorite pick, your favorite play down in the comment section, and I'm going to pick somebody from the comment section every single day to win one of these risk-free 2-pick power plays. So let's go ahead and pick one from yesterday. Let's do it. All right, I've already got the comments from yesterday's video loaded up. We got 37 unique comments left from yesterday's show. Let's go ahead and hit the start button, pick ourselves a winner. Winner, chicken dinner. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Let's just see. It's Neville Anderson. Shout out to Neville. Neville was liking some Miles Turner. That was his comment that he left yesterday. So Neville, all you got to do, my friend, if you're watching live, shoot me a DM. You could DM me on Twitter at Curry the Creator, or you could jump in our free Discord. Link to the free Discord's down in the description below. You can shoot me a DM on Discord as well. Whatever floats your boat, whatever tickles your pickle. Neville. But you are the winner. Risk-free 2-pick power play. As I mentioned, just be a subscriber, hit the like button, and then leave a comment, your favorite pick, your favorite play of the day, and you could win like Neville has won today. Shout out to Neville. Congratulations to you, my friend. Let's go and play some Larry Birdle. Who's today's mystery player? Well, we haven't figured it out quite yet, but today's thumbnail player was Zach LaVine. So I went ahead and put Zach LaVine's name in there as our first guess, our first answer, and it's not Zach LaVine. And as you can see, I got the silhouette already pulled up of the mystery player to maybe speed things along a little bit quicker, but I'll be honest with you, whoever this mystery player is, I cannot quite identify based on this haircut, this hairstyle that this young fella's got on his head. I don't know who that is. It kind of looked like Jalen Green, but I know it's not Jalen Green because this player is playing in the Eastern Conference, so it cannot be Jalen Green. It's going to be somebody in the Central Division. Central Division would include the Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons, Indiana Pacers, and the Milwaukee Bucks. But we know it's not the Chicago Bulls. We did not get a match on the Chicago Bulls or Zach LaVine, so it's not going to be him. Not going to be anybody from the Chicago Bulls. It is a guard or a forward, somebody taller than 6'5", younger than 27 with a jersey number over number 8. It is not Jason Ham, going to be Dasumu because this player does not play for Chicago. Shaz is guessing Isaiah Jackson. Isaiah Jackson, probably taller than 6'5". I think that could be a solid guess. Probably younger than 27. Isaiah Jackson is a younger player. I don't know Isaiah Jackson's jersey number, but Isaiah Jackson could be a solid look. That could be a solid look. I just don't know because I can't picture Isaiah Jackson's hairstyle in my head. But this player, whoever this is, the silhouette looks like somebody with dreads. Jaden Ivey? Okay. Let's go with we'll go with Isaiah Jackson. I mean, could we get it in just 2 guesses? Hey, shout out to Shaz. Shaz coming through with the goods. It is Isaiah Jackson. Wow. I don't know if it was the silhouette. I don't know if you're just lucky. But if you're that lucky, you should go play the lottery. It is Isaiah Jackson of the Indiana Pacers. Shout out to Shaz for getting that right. Isaiah Jackson, forward, 6'9", 20 years old, rocking jersey number 22. Shaz, hey, you the man, Shaz. You the man. All right, let's get into today's NBA slate. Like I said, not a very big one. We got 5 games. 5 games to talk about. All right. As I mentioned, NBA doing something kind of special today. We're getting ourselves an afternoon game. Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons. They are in France. Paris. They are in Paris playing basketball today. This game's got a total of 236 points with a 7.5 point spread. It's favoring the Chicago Bulls. Now, normally, I would say we need to be worried about blowout risk here, but I have a feeling that this game is going to be one of those ones, even if it turns into a blowout, we're going to see a lot of minutes from the starters here. Like, can you imagine the NBA setting up this special event, flying these guys out to Paris, and then these players only play 3 quarters because it turns into a blowout? Can you imagine that scenario? I can't imagine that scenario. That wouldn't be a good look for the NBA. So I'm thinking today that the stars will shine brightly. Guys like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic for Chicago, right? I think these guys are going to put on a show and be showcased being on this big stage here in Paris, France. So I'm liking some Nikola Vucevic today. He's going to have a very good matchup against the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are going to be without Marvin Bagley III. Jalen Duren is a game time decision. We'll have to wait and see if he plays or not. Nerlens Noel's name's been dangled out there in trade rumors. Apparently, he's looking to find a new home. So that is their front court situation. No Bagley, Noel, and Duren, both game time decisions. I'm not really worried about either one of these guys, though, as far as them slowing down Nikola Vucevic. Not really worried about it whatsoever. Diallo's another guy who is a game time decision. He is closer to being probable than doubtful today, but really liking some Zach LaVine, really liking some Nikola Vucevic, just off the top of my dome, just looking at, the matchup, what we know about Detroit. They're kind of weak against centers and they're kind of weak against guards. And normally I would say Ayo Dosunmu's the guy, but we know he's not that guy, right? If anybody's going to benefit from a weak matchup in the Chicago Bulls backcourt, it's probably going to be Zach LaVine getting buckets. Anyway, moving on. 7:30 p.m. So we go from 3 p.m. Eastern time to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We've got a great matchup here. The Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics. This is a rematch of the NBA Finals, in fact. As far as injuries go, the Golden State Warriors dealing with a handful of them. James Wiseman's out. Jonathan Kuminga's out. No Andre Iguodala. No JaMychal Green. So those 4 guys out for the Golden State Warriors. So it's going to be Curry, Klay, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney, the old faithful 5 of the Golden State Warriors, taking on the Boston Celtics, who we're not sure if they're going to have Jaylen Brown or not. Jaylen Brown, game time decision. He did practice. He's been dealing with, I think it was a hamstring injury. But right now, his status is truly up in the air. So we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to play the waiting game with this Boston Celtics squad. But it's a great total. It's 239.5 points with a 6-point spread. We love totals that are creeping up there around 240 points. And this is one of those games where it looks like a lot of points are going to be scored by both teams here. So this is the must-see TV matchup of the day right here. Golden State versus Boston, a rematch of the NBA Finals. Moving on from this game, Toronto at Minnesota tips off at 8 o'clock. Banton, game time decision for Toronto. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, keep an eye on Rudy Gobert. He is a game time decision. He did not play in the last game. Naz Reid got beat it up by Nikola Jokic. Austin Rivers, game time decision. Jordan McLaughlin is out. Karl Anthony Towns is out for the T-Wolves. But this is another game with a 230-plus point total. So we got a lot of high-scoring games on today's NBA slate. 231.5 to be exact with a 5-point spread. But again, keep your eye on Rudy Gobert. He's a game-time decision. We have to wait and see if he's going to play or not. If he plays, I think he's got a pretty decent matchup here against the Toronto Raptors, although it can be kind of hard to trust Rudy Gobert. But I think maybe his rebounds could be a good option because the Raptors are kind of undersized with Siakam expected to start at center. All right, moving on from there. Brooklyn at Phoenix. We're getting to some of these 10 p.m. Eastern time tip-off games. We've got 2 of them. Brooklyn and Phoenix is the first one. Same old song and dance here for the Phoenix Suns. They got a long, long list of injuries. Devin Booker is out. Jay Crowder is out. Josh Okogie out. Cam Payne out. Landry Shamet is out. Now, somebody that I don't see on the list that has been on the list in recent days is Cam Johnson. Maybe you guys know. I don't see Cam Johnson in the starting lineup. I don't see Cam Johnson on the injury report. Is Cam Johnson coming back this season? Is he coming back today? Is he available to play? I'm not sure what Cam Johnson's status is, but he is an impact player potentially for the Phoenix Suns if he's healthy and good to go. This one has a 221-point total with a 1.5-point spread. It looks like Kyrie Irving is going to get the green light and finally play tonight. He did get ruled out in that last game, but Kyrie's going to be back running the point. Kevin Durant's still out. You're going to have Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, Ben Simmons, and Big Nick Claxton, the human fly swatter himself, going up against DeAndre Ayton on the other side. So that's going to be a fun game. Philadelphia at Portland, also tipping off at 10 p.m. 233.5 points. Another one of these games with a 230-plus point total. Love those. 2-point spread. Listen, I'm looking forward to this matchup. Joel Embiid taking on Jusuf Nurkic. It's going to be a Royal Rumble in the paint. I think Joel Embiid and Jusuf Nurkic, both very physical guys, both very big, strong, imposing figures in the middle. I think this is going to be very fun to watch these two guys duke it out. Nurkic is a game time decision, but it looks like he's closer to probable than doubtful. We got Gary Payton, Little Glove or Mittens or whatever you guys want to call him. He is a game time decision, but is expected to play. No Justice Winslow for Portland. Philadelphia doesn't have any injury issues. James Harden, DeAnthony Melton, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid is your expected starting 5 for Philadelphia. All right, my friends, Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Hit the subscribe button if you want to ring that bell. Make sure that you don't miss out on any content. Turn those notifications on and absolutely positively hit the like button for your boy. Let's get into some prize picks. Again, if you're not playing on PrizePicks, promo code Curry, still getting you that 100% instant deposit match on PrizePicks. What I would like to do for you guys, I'd like to see if maybe we can collab. You, the viewer, me, the content creator. I would like to see if we could collab and maybe make ourselves a same game parlay for this 3 p.m. tip-off game between the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons. Are you guys in? Are you down for that? Do we make a slip in entry together here live on the show? I think we do. I think we try to put something together where we can maybe profit like we did the other day for that Boston Celtics Charlotte Hornets game. Shout out to Malcolm Brogdon points. Shout out to Mason Plumlee rebounds and assists. Both of them ended up hitting in that one. Let's try to repeat it. Let's try to run it back here together live on the show. All right. Let's take a look at this first game. Chicago-Detroit, 236 points, like we talked about, 7.5 point spread. So why am I on Zach LaVine? Why am I on Nikola Vucevic? Well, let's start things off here by taking a look at the Detroit Pistons over the last 7 games against centers. I think Vuce is in a very good spot for a reason. We take a look at the points given up by Detroit. Guys, they're giving up over 28.2 points per game to centers in their last 7 games. That is the second highest point total. All right. So ton of points, second most points in the last 7 games. Then we take a look at the rebounds that they're giving up. 19.3, we'll call it 19.4 rebounds per game over their last 7 games. That is the second most rebounds given up to centers as well. So we're talking about a team giving up the second most points to centers, second most rebounds to centers, giving up a healthy little 3 assists per game, right? A little over a 1 steal per game, couple of blocks per game they're giving up. Total of 63.8 fantasy points per game given up over the last 7 games. That's the second highest number. So second most points, second most rebounds, and the second most fantasy points given up to opposing centers. So clearly we should be thinking about some Nikola Vucevic today, right? Are you guys on board with it? Does it look good? Detroit giving up a ton of points and rebounds, something that Vucevic usually is pretty good at. Giving up a ton of fantasy points. Vuce can get himself a block or steal from time to time. Those are worth 3 points apiece. I think Vucevic should be on our map today. So let's take a look at Vucevic. Which is the best way to play some Vucevic? Well, we've got a couple of different options here to choose from. We talked about the points being a strong one. We talked about the rebounds being a strong one. We talked about the fantasy score being a strong one because, again, the Pistons are just giving it up in all 3 categories. So let's look at Vucevic real quick at 18.5 points. We're going to use props.cash. Shout out to props.cash for making all this wonderful data available and easily accessible. Guys, 25% off your first month of props.cash if you've never used it before. Use code Curry when you sign up for props.cash. Again, I've left a link for you down in the description of today's video. But we're going to use props.cash to look at Nikola Vucevic and just get an idea of what his success rate has been like at 18.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, and we'll even look at the fantasy scores for you guys as well. All right, Vucevic this season, 18.5 points, 18 for 44. That's a 41% hit rate. I will say this, if you look at the first half of this season, you're going to see a lot of red, right? If we were to draw an imaginary line down the center of this bar graph here and split this down the middle, you'd notice that the first half, 22 games or so, 22 games or so, a lot of red in there when it comes to his points prop. Now, over the last 20-ish games, we're seeing a lot more green than we are red. Let's see if we look at the last 30 game view. Yeah, you see how we still have some of that red that's lingering, but now it's starting to turn a lot more green here over the last like 25 games or so. Let's just count them down real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hits out of his last 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 15 out of 23. 15 out of his last 23, he's gone over this number. He's coming off of a 43-point game against the Golden State Warriors. 43-point game against Golden State. So Vucevic has been pretty darn good this season. Now we could also take a look at the splits. Now in this case, both teams really are the away team, being that they're taking the court on a we'll call it a neutral ground, neutral surface, being that they're in Paris, France today. They're not playing in Detroit. They're not playing in Chicago. They're playing in Paris. So let's take a look at how Vucevic has performed on the road. Of course, he's a foreign player, an international player, a European player. They're going to be playing in Paris. So maybe Vucevic, tries to shine bright and rep for the Europeans. Let's take a look at his away splits here. All right, he's played 22 games on the road this season. Out of those 22 games, he has hit the over in 10 out of 22. Important to note here, if we look at the last 10 or so games on the road, my guy has definitely picked up his scoring on the road in the last 10 games, going 7 for 10. That's a 70% hit rate. 70% hit rate over his last 10 games, averaging 19.3 points per game. So yeah, I think his points should probably be considered here. Detroit's given up the 29th most points, 29th highest field goal percentage. They rank 28th against opposing centers, so they're not guarding the center position. As we mentioned before, they're not guarding the center position very well. So Vucevic looks like he's in a pretty good spot today, right? I think we can all agree on that. Now, we also talked about his rebounds at 11.5. Let's take a look at those boards. His points on the road, he's 10 for 22, 45%. His rebounds on the road, he is 10 for 22, 45%. So we've got two props, his points and his rebounds, hitting at exactly the same rate over the last 22 road games, 10 for 22, 45%. Now, if we kind of go and look at the last 10 games here, he's 5 for 10 or 50%, covering this in 4 out of his last 5 games, 5 out of his last 7 games played on the road. So kind of gives you an idea of what to expect here out of my man Nikola Vucevic playing on the road today. You could also go points and rebounds. There's a way to combine these two. Let's see if PrizePicks has it up. Yep. 30.5 points plus rebounds today. Let's take a look at the hit rates on those. So we had 45% on just the points, 45% on just the rebounds. But what happens when we combine the points and rebounds? 45%, 10 for 22, 45%. He's hit the over in 4 out of his last 5 road games as well. So a lot of different ways you could go on Nikola Vucevic today, whether you want to go points, whether you want to go rebounds, whether you want to go points plus rebounds. I think all of those are fine looks. Now, he has played Detroit once already this season. Let's take a look at that game and how he performed. This was December 30th. He had 19 points, so he would have gone over his 18.5 point prop. So that's a hit. Let's take a look at the rebounds. 9 boards, just 9 rebounds. So he would have fallen short on his 11.5 rebound line today. That's not good. And then scrolling over, we're going to go over to his rebounds, points and rebounds. When you combine the points and rebounds, 28. So he would have fallen short on the points and rebounds. So of these 3 props, the one that he covered, the only one that he covered, that we've looked at so far is his points at 18.5. So maybe we lean toward the points on Nikola Vucevic, being that he had 19 against this Detroit Pistons squad. Let's take a look at some fantasy score stuff here real quick. He's at 39.5 fantasy score today. We can use StatMuse to go back and take a look at how he performed against the Detroit Pistons in the fantasy score department on that day. So we go Nikola Vucevic, use the terms FanDuel points versus Pistons logs this season, right? So we punched that in. Against Detroit, my guy had 43.8 fantasy points against the Detroit Pistons. He played 33 minutes, had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks. So that's a total of 4 steals and blocks. Those are worth 3 points apiece. He had 4 of them. So those are big points right there. That's 12 points just off of steals and blocks. Pretty impressive, all right? So yeah, he absolutely crushed his fantasy score of 39.5, posting 43.8. Vucevic had himself a very good day. So that means he's hit his points and he's hit his fantasy score in the only matchup against the Detroit Pistons that we can refer to this season. He's only played them once, all right? So points and fantasy score are kind of my leading front runners or contenders for Nikola Vucevic as favorite way to play. Now, I do have a projection available for you for Nikola Vucevic and some of these props. Let me go ahead and click all day. We've got 5 games here. So I got him projected for 44 fantasy points. He's at 39.5 on PrizePicks. That is a pretty big difference. That's almost a 5-point difference. That's pretty huge. Over 4 points different. I like that. I like a big advantage like that. So I'm okay with taking Nikola Vucevic over or for more than 39.5 fantasy points based on the projections we're seeing, based on the fact that he's got a great matchup against the Detroit Pistons, giving up the second most fantasy points per game to centers in the last 7 games. And, we've already seen him cover once against Detroit. Let's run it back and do it again in Paris. All right, and let's get you a projection on Nikola Vucevic on these points. Take a look at how those are stacking up today. So he's at 18.5 points on PrizePicks. You're going to find him at 18.5 points on DraftKings and on BetMGM. Now, on those sites, he is a slight betting favorite to go under, minus 120 odds to go under. He's also at 19.5 on FanDuel, a point higher on FanDuel than PrizePicks. So we're getting a little bit of a value or discount when you compare PrizePicks to FanDuel. At 19.5 on FanDuel, he is a betting favorite there as well. So it doesn't seem like the betting public has a lot of confidence right now in Nikola Vucevic going for 19 or more points. So for me, I'm just going to skip over the points. Maybe he ends up with 18 points, 10 rebounds, some blocks, some steals, couple of assists, and he goes over his fantasy score. I'm going to go with a fantasy score. I'm going to officially make Nikola Vucevic over 39.5 fantasy score my first play. My first play. You could go PRA. Yes, you absolutely could go PRA. We'll take a look at that real quick too. He did fall short though against Detroit on his PRA at 30 PRA. He would need 34 PRA. So we're really counting on Vucevic to get those steals and blocks against Detroit like he did in the first game. If you don't think he's going to get 4 steals and blocks, I can't be mad at you. I can't blame you. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he substitutes 1 or 2 of those steals and blocks with more points and rebounds, though. I mean, that could always happen, too. But I'm going to go with Vucevic, 39.5 fantasy score. What do you guys think? Are we liking it or not? I think the projection looks pretty nice for him. I'm going to go ahead and take the fantasy score here on Vucevic. You guys can take it or you can fade it. It's up to you. You guys are talking about the PRA. It's at 33.5 on the books. There is some juice coming in on the over, minus 135 betting favorite to go over 33.5 PRA. I think that's a good sign. That's only going to help further the fantasy score. If he's going to hit over on 33.5 PRA, that means we just need like 1 or 2 blocks and steals, and he should be over his fantasy score as well. So let's look at the steals and blocks line for him. It's set at 1.5, projected for 2 steals and blocks. Slight betting favor to go under on his steals and blocks at 1.5. I think he gets more than 1 steal and block today. I think he's good for 2. I like the projection more than I do the line and the way that the juice is coming in on the over, but or on the under rather. So I'm going to go fantasy score on Vucevic, but hey, guys, PRA, not a bad option as well. I know he didn't hit it in his last game, but he could hit it today. So yeah, I think that's a good start. Vucevic fantasy score. We also talked about Zach LaVine. I don't mind some Zach LaVine today. We talked about the backcourt for the Detroit Pistons. Not very good defensively. We take a look at how many fantasy points they've been giving up to opposing point guards here. 53.5. All right, I know Zach LaVine is technically the shooting guard. Ayo Dosunmu going to be your point guard. But as I mentioned before, if you were to say who benefits more, I think it's Zach LaVine, right? Ayo Dosunmu, he does a little bit of everything, but obviously his usage, his role on the Chicago Bulls team is a lot less than it is for Zach LaVine. So you're going to see Detroit giving up the most fantasy points per game to point guards in the last 7 games. Again, I think that benefits Zach LaVine more than it does Dosunmu. We take a look at the shooting guard spot as well. Detroit still giving up a pretty healthy number, 40.3 fantasy points per game to shooting guards. Again, either way, I think Zach LaVine is the way to go here. Anyway, for points, Detroit 27.2 points per game to point guards. That's the 4th most. As far as rebounds go, they're giving up 7.9. That is the 2nd most rebounds in the last 7 games. They're giving up over 9 assists per game, 9.1 to be exact. That is the 7th highest amount of assists given up in the last 7 games to point guards. A lot of threes being given up as well, 3.3 per game. Something Zach LaVine loves to do is shoot the 3 ball. And then, of course, the fantasy score. They're giving up the 1st most fantasy points. So I think we should definitely be thinking some Zach LaVine today. And the reason I mentioned Zach LaVine is because he absolutely balled out. He balled out the last time that he played the Detroit Pistons. Let's go take a look and see what he did against Detroit in that particular game. Starting with the points, my guy had 43 points against the Detroit Pistons the last time they played back on December 30th. I'm not saying he's going for 40 again today. I'm just saying he had himself a very fine game. Even if he were to go for, 30 points, we would be very happy with that number. His points prop today is set at 25.5. Put 43 up against Detroit the last time they played. Let's take a look at some of the season numbers here. Levine has started to heat up here over the last 10 games or so. Kind of like Vucevic, the first 3 quarters of the 40 games that he's appeared in, not very good, right? But when we look at the last 10 games, things have started to pick up for Zach LaVine. He's hit the 25.5 number in 7 of his last 10 games. That's a 70% hit rate, averaging a very healthy 29.1 points per game in that 10-game span. He had a 43-point game against Detroit, like we talked about, 41 against Philadelphia, tough team, 36 against Utah, 38 against Washington. So my guy's been putting up some big numbers here. So I kind of like Zach LaVine today. What are you guys thinking? Zach LaVine, yay or nay? Tyrone's liking some Vucevic fantasy score. Love to hear that. I think Vuce fantasy score is a fine way to go. So, LaVine, last 10 games, 7 for 10, averaging a healthy 29.1 points per game. And in his last 5, guys, 30.6 points per game. He's hit the over in 5 out of his last 6 games. So, Zach LaVine, absolutely balling. What about his home and away splits? So, on the road, we hope that he's scoring more on the road than he does at home. He's averaging about 22.2 points per game at home. We mentioned today's game is in France. He's going international on us today. He's averaging 26.1 points per game when he's away from Chicago. So that's very good. We're catching him in a positive split situation. He is in a road split today, playing in Paris. He has hit the over at 25.5 points in 5 straight road games. He's 5 out of his last 5, 33, 26, 41, 27, and 38 in his last 5 games on the road. So he will definitely be on the road today. Like I said, going overseas, going international on us today against this Detroit Pistons squad. So I think Zach LaVine for some points looks like a good look. What other ways can we play Zach LaVine? What other options do we have? Well, let's dig into it. So he's at 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 34.5 PRA, points and rebounds. You could go that route. Points and assists. You could go that route. Fantasy score 38.5. So lots of different ways PrizePicks gives us to play Zach LaVine. Let's just see what else he did against the Detroit Pistons when they last met. We know he put up 43 points. That right now is my favorite way to play LaVine. He only had 3 rebounds. Probably going to stay away from those. Had 6 assists though. So you could either go points. You could possibly look at the assists. Maybe you go for a combination of the two at 30.5 points and assists. That could be an option for you as well. Let's run through the rest of these. Points and assists, obviously he hit that. 49 points plus assists against the Pistons. Again, his line is 30.5 today. Even if he comes down to earth a little bit, we're still soaring past 30.5. No problemo. Points and rebounds, he hit that. Pretty much anything that included his points, he's probably going to be over. Rebounds and assists, that could be another option for you. He had 9 rebounds and assists. We're not getting that option on PrizePicks, unfortunately, but he did hit the rebounds and assists. The PRA obviously was a hit for him as well. And he drained 5 3-pointers. 5 3-pointers. Not getting those on PrizePicks, so we don't have to worry about that. So I think any of these options right here look pretty good so far. Points, assists, or combine the points plus assists. If DeRozan is back, won't that hurt? Anthony, yes, it could hurt. You could go points and assists thinking DeRozan's presence on the team possibly could lead to less points for Zach LaVine. So maybe we just go, with his assists. Let's take a look at Zach LaVine's last game. See how many fantasy points he had against Detroit. 57.6 fantasy points, my friends. 57.6 fantasy points. He's at 38.5. So we're talking about a guy who posted nearly 20 more fantasy points in that game than his line is at today at 38.5. Now you're mentioning DeMar DeRozan. Was DeRozan out for that game? I don't know why you're mentioning DeRozan. Let's go look. No, DeRozan played that game. So I'm not really concerned about that all too much. Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, Pat Williams, and Ayo Dosunmu. Same starting lineup in this previous matchup against Detroit that they're going to have today from the looks of it. So Levine was playing with DeRozan in that game, had 43, 3, 6, 2 steals, 15 for 20, hot shooting from that in that game, and then 5 for 9 from beyond the arc, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Did have 4 turnovers, but that wasn't enough to keep his fantasy score down, not when you're posting 43 points against Detroit. So DeRozan was in for this game against the Detroit Pistons, guys. So I'm not really worried about his presence being a factor. We've seen Zach Levine eat against this team with DeRozan in the lineup. We've seen Vucevic have a good game with DeRozan in the lineup. So, yeah, not too worried about that. So, yeah, let's get you some projections here. We got Zach Levine's fantasy score at 38.5. We're hoping for a number that is above 38.5, right, my friends? Got him projected for 41.2 fantasy points. Woo-wee! Not quite as sweet as Nikola Vucevic, but still, we're seeing quite a bit of an edge there. We're talking about like 3 to 4 fantasy points different versus PrizePicks. So I think Zach Levine's fantasy score should be very good. Very, very good. I think Zach Levine here at 38.5 fantasy score is definitely in play. Let's get you some projections on some of these other Zach Levine props, right? And take a look at some of the sportsbook lines in action here. Zach Levine's projected for 26.9 points. He's at 25.5 points on PrizePicks. So that's a good sign. He's being projected to go over by these Action Labs, Fantasy Labs models. He's at 25.5 points out on the sports books, currently seeing some juice on the over at 25.5. So you love that as well. So yes, you could play his points. You could play his fantasy score. What about his assists? His assists are sitting at 4. He's projected for 4.6. He is a big betting favorite to go under 4.5, meaning they don't think he's going to find 5 dimes today, despite the fact that he did so in their last matchup with 6 assists the last time he saw the Detroit Pistons. So I'm going to take the assists off, but we still have points plus assists, and we could go that route potentially. Let's take a look. He's projected for 31.5 points plus assists. He is at 30.5 points plus assists on your favorite sports books, but is being bet under. So I don't want to go against the grain. I don't want to go against the odds. So I'm going to leave points plus assists off. So I think we've whittled it down to Zach Levine for some points or Zach Levine for some fantasy score. You guys let me know. Are we liking one more than the other? Are you in for Levine points or are you in for Levine fantasy score? Let me know, because I'm going to put this, whatever you guys say in the live chat, I'm going to put this in my entry right now. All right. We've already got Vucevic for 39.5 fantasy score. Do we want to add another fantasy prop with Zach Levine at 38.5? Before you guys decide, I just want to remind you, Detroit, 53.5 fantasy points given up to point guards. Again, I think that benefits Levine more than it does Dosunmu. I know Levine's the shooting guard, but who's the higher usage player with the ball in their hands more? It's probably Zach Levine, right? 27.2 points per game given up by Detroit, nearly 8 rebounds, over 9 assists given up. I think those assists probably would benefit Dosunmu more, but let me see what you guys are talking about here. Levine and Vucevic fantasy score power play. Let's go. Well, we can't power play them because they play on the same team. So we're going to need somebody from that Detroit Pistons side of things, my friend. We're going to need to go Detroit to get us a same game parlay built out here. Fume, hello. Thank you for being here. What are you guys saying about Levine? T.Y. Dadon is saying take Levine's assists at 4. Carolina Kids liking Levine's points. It looks like Tyrone's liking the fantasy score for Levine. Kips is liking the points for Levine. Tyrone liking the fantasy score. What else? All right. I think the fantasy score might have won out. It's a pretty close race, though. Pretty close race between Levine's points and fantasy score. Let's just go with fantasy. You got a lot of different ways that you can collect fantasy points. Blocks and steals obviously being the number one way. Points, your second best option. And then if Zach Levine is dropping some dimes today, those are worth 1.5 points a piece. And then the rebounds are 1.2 a piece. So I'm going to go with Zach Levine's fantasy score. But man, I might make another entry later on with Zach LaVine's points. I'm going to go with these two for right now. Vucevic over fantasy, Levine over fantasy. All right. So we got to get something from the Detroit side to finish off our same game parlay. Maybe one, maybe two different props. Let me see what you guys are liking, though. We got Killian Hayes' name just keeps coming up over and over again. All right. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Let's go take a look at Killian Hayes real quick for all you Hayes lovers out there. Before we do that, let's take a look at this matchup. Killian Hayes is going to be your point guard for the Detroit Pistons. He's going up against the Chicago Bulls. Where are the Chicago Bulls weak? Are they weak against point guards? Well, I can tell you this, in the last 7 games, they haven't been so weak against point guards. 20.3 points per game sounds like a lot, but when you take a look at where they rank, that is down toward the bottom. The third fewest points per game allowed to point guards in the last 7 games. They are giving up 8.6 rebounds per game. Killian Hayes, I don't know if he's a big-time rebounder, but Chicago giving up 8.6 boards. That is the number 1 most rebounds given up to point guards in the last 7 games. So quite a few rebounds being given up. And then we take a look at how many assists per game. Something that Killian Hayes is pretty good at is racking up some dimes. Chicago Bulls giving up 7.4 assists per game. That puts them down toward the bottom of the list. Not all the way at the basement bottom, but pretty close to the bottom of the list, 7.4 assists. So that kind of gives you an idea of what to expect here. Bulls defense been doing a pretty good job for the most part against opposing point guards over the last 7 games. In terms of fantasy score, 46.3. Again, sounds like a big number, but when you kind of look at where they rank, they are closer to the bottom than they are toward the top. So it's really not that many. Not that many. But let's go take a look here. You guys are saying Killian Hayes. You're saying Killian Hayes is a French guy. Let me look into that real quick. I'm just going to put in Killian Hayes, France, and see what comes up. Okay, he's a French-American professional basketball player. You'll learn something new every day. My boy's from Lakeland, Florida. Man, that's right up the street from me. Shout out to Lakeland, Florida. That is like 30 minutes, 40 minutes for me probably. All right, well, there you go. My man Killian Hayes is he's absolutely a French guy. I didn't know he was a French guy. Thank you for learning me today, for teaching me something new. Look at Killian Hayes, my boy, international. He got the France across the chest. All right, it's official. All right, we got Killian Hayes France narrative going. All right, I'm in. I'm on board. Let's go, Killian Hayes. Let's go see what we got for Killian Hayes today. Now that you guys got me on board here, I'm all about it. Let's play the Killian Hayes I'm from France narrative real quick. Let's start by looking at some Killian Hayes points here. He's at 13. Oh, shoot, we're getting him at 14.5 points. Well, that's more than where he's at on props.cash. We bump him up to 14.5, and his hit rates don't really change a whole lot. All right, so he's 14 for 44. Let me take Cade Cunningham out of here. I just want to see games played without Cade Cunningham. Let's go last 30. All right, 12 of 30 without Cade Cunningham at 13.5 points. If we jack him up to 14.5 points, he's still 12 of 30, 40%. Well, damn. That's kind of discouraging, right? That's a pretty low hit rate. We're going to have to really hope that this I'm from France narrative really pans out for us, because he's not hitting this 14.5 point number very well. Now, what about if we combined, like, let's say points with the assists? Those are at 21.5 points plus assists. Let's see if the hit rates improve. We had a 40% hit rate. All right, 40% hit rate. Let's go points plus assists here and see if the hit rates get a little bit better. A little bit. 13 for 30, 43%. That's at 20.5. We bump this up to 21.5. The hit rates remain the same. All right, so that's pretty crappy. But in the last 10 games at 20.5 or 21.5 points plus assists, that's a little bit better. 7 out of his last 10 games, he's hit the over at 21.5 points plus assists. We go back to those points again at 14.5. Last 10 games without Cade Cunningham, 6 for 10 on just the points. A little bit higher here. 7 for 10 points and assists. So I guess for me, I would want to go with the prop that's hitting at the better hit rate, right? Which would be the combination of points and assists. 7 out of his last 10, 70% hit rate. All right. I think I'm good with that. I could go points plus assists on Killian Hayes. Let's just take a look at these sportsbook numbers here for Killian. You guys have talked me into it. Oh, frick, man. I wish we were getting him at 20.5. All right, so we're not getting him at 20.5 on PrizePicks. We're getting him at 21.5. At 20.5, he is a minus 145 betting favorite to go over. He's been bumped up, as Sub-Zero has said here. He was at 21.5 on FanDuel. We are seeing some minus juice on the over, minus 104 to go over 21.5. That's better than having plus odds, right, on that 21.5 number. But yeah, I wish we were getting him at 20.5. Well, darn, that kind of sucks. Do we still want to take it? He's projected for 20.9 points plus assists. Do we still want to take it, my friends? Let me know. Let me know. We got a fantasy score number here of 31.5 for Killian Hayes. We could possibly look at a fantasy score. Let's go that route and see what happens. Killian Hayes, first half, or not first half. FanDuel points logs without Cade Cunningham this season. Give us the goods, Stat News. Give us the goods. All right, he's at 31.5 fantasy score. His last 5 games, he's hit in 2 of 5. That's not good. We go back a little bit further here. 5. The next 5 games, he hit 4 out of his last 5. So we kind of look at the last 10 games overall. He's hit the over of 31.5 in 6 of 10. He's 6 of 10 covering 31.5 fantasy score. Fume is saying I'd fade after the bump personally. I'm kind of with you on that. Amber Gray saying nah. Antoine saying red flag. Calvin saying maybe we go rebounds plus assists. What about the fantasy score? 31.5. Let's get a projection on it. Maybe that'll help kind of clear the air here. Killian Hayes, I got his fantasy score at 31.4. He's at 31.5 on PrizePicks. That's tight, man. That's a little too tight. What about free throw makes? Is my guy going to get to the free throw line at least once and knock down 1 of 2? I mean, can we count on him in his native country? Maybe the referees blow the whistle for Killian Hayes and he gets to the free throw line and makes at least 1. What do we think? Do we get any sort of favoritism for Killian Hayes, being that he is French, playing in France? Will the whistles be on his side, in his favor today? Y'all think he gets to the line at least once? Let me know. It seems so easy, right? It seems so easy, don't it? Let's look at the free throw makes real quick. We can look at those. We'll use StatMuse to pull that up. So you go FTM, Killian Hayes, FTM logs without Cade Cunningham this season. Oh, he's not always getting to the free throw line. I can tell you that. It's very, very scarce. There's a lot of zeros in here. But if he's going to be that dude, like we think he's going to be that dude, French player playing in France, maybe he's a little bit aggressive. Maybe he gets, a whistle or 2 that maybe he wouldn't get playing elsewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming. So for me, I'm going to have to leave Killian Hayes points and assists alone. Maybe we take a chance on the free throw makes. I don't mind that. I could maybe go there. I could possibly go there. What else do we have here? Rebounds and assists at 10.5. Let's take a look at those real quick. Maybe there's something there. Maybe we go rebounds and assists at 10.5. Shoot, that ain't looking too good. That's not very spicy. He's 4 for 10. That's not very spicy at all. 4 for his last 10 without Cade Cunningham at 10.5 rebounds and assists. Ooh, not good. What about the assist at 7? Do we like him at 7? 50% in his last 10 games. Guys, I don't know, man. I might have to just go fantasy score. I might just have to go fantasy score at 31.5 or just take this little free throw. Fume says, French player in France, same odds as a player going off because it's his birthday. Hey, you say that to Julius Randle. Go look at what Julius Randle did on his birthday, doggone it. Go look at Kelly Oubre, what he did on his birthday this year. Go look at LeBron James and what he did on his birthday. Nah, but I'm not sure that there's anything I really like here from Killian Hayes. Definitely not rebounds and assists. I'm going to take a chance, man. Screw it. I'm going to take a chance that Killian Hayes just goes bonkers. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to knock down at least one free throw. This guy's due, right? When's the last time he made a free throw? 3 games ago? Yeah, he's due, man. He's due. Yeah, he's due. He's due. I'm going with it. I'm going with the he's due. Killian Hayes, he's due. No, I'm going to pick Killian Hayes. Fume, you don't have to, though. You can do whatever you want. But I'm going to pick Killian Hayes for 1 free throw. Let's go. Let's go. All right. What else we got here? You guys are talking a lot about Bojan Bogdanovic. We're trying to build out a same game parlay here live on the show. Appreciate everybody who's watching. Guys, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. I'm giving away free entries every single day. So get into it. Bogdanovic, another international player playing in France. He's not a French guy to my knowledge, but he is a European player. So maybe he's got some European fans and family showing up to cheer him on today. Let's take a look at Bogdanovic. He's at 21.5 points, 3.5 boards, 28.5 PRA. We got 25.5 points plus rebounds. We got 24.5 points and assists. I think for me, anything related to Bogdanovic, if I play any of his props, it's probably going to have to include him getting buckets, right? Because that's what he does. He shoots. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. He's a bucket getter. Let's look at this Bojan Bogdanovic situation here. All right, he's going to be on the road technically. So on the road this season, 20.8 points per game. That's a little bit of a dip from when he's at home, averaging 21.6. But overall, my guy has hit the over in 22 out of 44 games. That's exactly 50%. That is a coin flip situation if I've ever seen one. Now, he has played Chicago. Last time he played him, had 20 points against the Bulls. That is not enough to put him over 21.5. Fell short by 1 bucket. Just 1 bucket against the Chicago Bulls. He is on 5 days rest. I think my guy Bogdanovic has been hurt. If I'm not mistaken, he's been missing some games here. When's the last time he played? January 13th? Yeah, that was 6 games ago. So he's been sitting out. Do we think there's just a little bit of rust for Bogdanovic? Do we think he comes in and maybe he's looking a little bit rusty, dusty, kind of crusty? Possibly. Could come back with a little bit of court rust, being that he's been off for almost a week. But yeah, Bogdanovic, 21.5 points. I did notice something here about his assists. His assists have really been popping off. Over the last 10 games, my guy's hit his assist prop in 9 out of his last 10. So I know they're not going to give us just the assists on their own, but they are giving us points plus assists at 24.5. Let's take a quick peek at those. Not too shabby. 6 for 10. 60% hit rate over his last 10 games at 24.5 points plus assists. That could be worth a look. He's been dropping some dimes. Anything that includes his assists could be worth looking at. What about his PRA over the last 10 games? 50%, a little bit lower. So points plus assists hitting at a little bit of a higher clip. And it's going to be hitting at a higher clip than just the points on their own. Yeah, 50%. So points plus assists may not be a bad option if he continues to drop dimes like he has been. Now, you guys are saying fantasy score, 30.5 fantasy. We're going to have to use StatMuse to take a look at this. So we'll go Bojan Bogdanovic logs without Cade Cunningham this season. We want FanDuel points. He's at 30.5. We need him to have at least 30.6 or more. How many times has he done it here recently? 1, 2, 3. His 3 out of his last 3 games, he has gone over 30.5 fantasy. Failed to get it done there at 25.1. Hits in that one. So he's 4 out of his last 5 at 30.5 fantasy score, as PrizePicks clearly shows. Going back a little bit further from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. He hits the over in 1, 2, 3 out of those 5 games. So he's 7 out of his last 10 at 30.5 fantasy score. I believe I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 7 out of 10. 70% hit rate. So his fantasy score is hitting better than his points plus assists by 1 game. 60% on the points plus assists, 70% on the fantasy points over the last 10 games. So the fantasy score is my front runner, followed up by the points plus assists for Bogdanovic. All right. What about the matchup? Is this a good matchup for Bogdanovic? He'll probably be guarded by the likes of either Patrick Williams, who can be a pest, who can be a menace, who can be a thorn in a player's side, or DeMar DeRozan. Well, the Chicago Bulls are giving up 49.9 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards in their last 7 games. That is the second most. He needs 30.6. They're giving up almost 50 per game. So that's pretty big. Bojan Bogdanovic possibly in play here. What about the last time he played the Chicago Bulls? We go down and we look at that game. 33.8 fantasy score. Had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers. So he got the job done on his fantasy score at 30.5 against Chicago the last time that they played one another. So that's a good sign as well. So for me, I'm going to go fantasy score on Bogdanovic. Boom. We got ourselves a nice little 4-piece here. 4-piece. Nikola Vucevic over fantasy. Zach LaVine over fantasy. I'm taking a risk, guys. You don't have to take Killian Hayes if you don't want to. Bojan Bogdanovic and Killian Hayes over 1 free throw. Do we want to add anything to this? Or do we stop at 4? Fume, I do not have a code for Fantasy Labs, but send me a DM. Maybe I can get you to hook up. I got some connects. I got some peoples over there at Fantasy Labs. Let's see here. Todd, thank you for the super chat. I serenaded and sung to you, and you rewarded me dearly. Appreciate that. Do we want to extend this beyond 4 picks? That is the magic question right now. I know you guys are, not everybody's on board with Killian Hayes making 1 free throw, but damn it, I'm rolling the dice. I think he's due for a free throw make today. A lot of Jaden Ivey being discussed. Ivey for PR, Ivey for assists. What else? We have not delved into any Jaden Ivey props just yet. Bojan for first half. Okay, SSXIY is liking Bojan Bogdanovic for some first half action. Adebayo Olaniyan is liking Bojan for first half points or fantasy. Okay, love that. Patrick Williams points. Some people are saying Williams under points. Anything else from this game, though? Let's look at those Killian Hayes props real quick. A couple of y'all mentioned, or not Killian Hayes. You guys got me thinking about Killian Hayes that way. Jaden Ivey, this young man. What are we liking from Jaden Ivey today? I saw some folks mentioning some Jaden Ivey for a number of different options. What has Jaden Ivey been doing here in the last 10 games? 5 for 10 on the points. His rebounds, 5 for 10. His assists, those are kind of spicy. 7 for 10 on his assists. Okay, Jaden Ivey, I see you on these dimes. Had 6 assists against Chicago the last time they played. So if I'm going to play some Jaden Ivey, I'm probably going to want to play something that includes his assists. Those are 7 for 10. 7 out of his last 10 games. He's had at least 5 dimes. I like that. I'm good with that. And he had 6 against Chicago at Chicago on December 30th. I like that as well. I like that. All right. So we got assists. Brian Chavez is liking the assist as well. Carson, I can't hear you, man. You're saying listen. I can't hear you, bro. There's so many comments in this live chat, bro. There's too many comments. Sorry. Carson, you got to leave like a super chat or something, bro. That's where those super chats come in, man. I can't get to everybody's question, damn it. I want to. I wish I had 3 heads and 4 arms. But I don't. But yeah, Jaden Ivey. I like what we're seeing here on his assists. He's 7 for 10. 7 for 10, 70%. All right. He's averaging 6 assists per game over his last 5 games. So let's get something in there with Jaden Ivey dropping some dimes. How about that, my friends? Let's refresh here. I want to get the latest and greatest odds and stats. Odds and stats for Jaden Ivey. Whew. Yeah, I got him projected for 5.2 assists, guys. That's looking good. We're not getting a ton of juice on the over at 4.5, but I'm okay with that. We got a nice projection at 5.2 dimes for Jaden Ivey. My friends, he has been covering at a pretty high clip here over the last 5 and last 10 games. So I'm down with some Jaden Ivey. What else we got here? Rebounds and assists at 8.5. Maybe we sprinkle in some rebounds and assists. Okay, those are looking good too. Minus 120 to go over 8.5 rebounds and assists. Projected for 9.7 today. How's the hits looking for Jaden Ivey in the last 5 for 10? Not quite as good as just the assists on their own. All right. One other option, points plus assists. Let's take a look at those. Those 50%. 50%. So he's hitting just the assists, the raw dog assists on their own. 7 for 10, 70% hit rate. So I'm going to go with those. All right. You guys wanted to spice it up? Let's go. We got 5 picks now. We got Vucevic, Levine over fantasy score. We got Killian Hayes to make 1 free throw. Come on, Killian Hayes. 1 time for the 1 time. Bojan Bogdanovic over 30.5 fantasy score. And we got Jaden Ivey over 4.5 assists, unless somebody says otherwise. Top 10 highlights coming through with a super chat saying, I'm just dropping a super chat. It's enough to get you a McDouble bundle today. You the real MVP. You're the real MVP, my boy. Thank you, Top 10 highlights. That is enough for a McDouble bundle value meal. I appreciate you, my dude. Everyday Fantasy's coming through with a super chat as well. He's got Jaden Ivey for more on the turnovers. Okay. Where's his turnovers at, though? Oh, 2.5? 2.5. We're going a little spicy Jaden Ivey over turnovers. Let's look at those using props.cash. He's 7 for 10 on the turnovers as well. Bet. That's looking good. Chicago, he turned it over 3 times against the Bulls the last time he played Chicago. Okay. My guy's turning the ball over pretty well. 25 over 43, 58% hit rate. We look at the last 30 games here, 19 of 30, 63%. The last 10 games, 70%. So we got 70% hit rate on the assists, 70% hit rate on the turnovers. Which ones are we rocking with, though, guys? Are we wanting to go turnovers or are we wanting to go assists? I don't have a projection for turnovers. Damn it. No projection for turnovers for Jaden Ivey, unfortunately, but both of them look like very solid options. I cannot disagree with either. Listen, you took the time, the effort, the energy to go ahead and put in that super chat. I'll take Jaden Ivey's assists off, and I will put Jaden Ivey in for more than 2.5 turnovers for everyday fantasy. Now, if you don't agree with this, if you disagree for whatever reason, you rather have the assists, go ahead, take those assists. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Me and Everyday Fantasy are going to take Jaden Ivey for more than 2.5 turnovers. All right. Rocking with it. Let's just take a look real quick. I'm curious now. Chicago Bulls against point guards. Last 7 games, forcing about 4 turnovers per game. Okay. That's 4th most. That's the 4th most. Chicago Bulls versus shooting guards, forcing over 3 turnovers per game. That's the 6th most in the last 7 games. Guys, the Bulls are forcing turnovers to these opposing backcourts. So I'm with it, man. I like it. I don't have a projection for Jaden Ivey's turnovers, but I like the fact that the Bulls are turning the ball over against point guards and shooting guards. They're forcing those turnovers. I like that. All right, I'm in there. I'm in there like swimwear. We got Jaden Ivey over turnovers. We got Bogdanovic over fantasy score. We got Killian Hayes. I'm going for 1 free throw. Come on, Killian. Come on. You're playing in France. Be aggressive. Get to the free throw line and knock one down, buddy. Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic over fantasy score. That's a 5-piece. I got one question for you guys. Do we make it a 6-piece? Do we make it a 6-piece? I mean, do we go for 25x or do we not, gang? Let me know. Are we going for 25? Are we keeping it at 10x? Do we have the power? Do we have the juice? Do we have the goods? Do we have one more good pick from this Chicago-Detroit game that tips off in approximately 2 hours? Do we have the juice to put us in for one more freaking pick? Going 6 for 6 for 25x. I need the energy here. Slickwell says, if you lose on a free throw, hey, if you lose on a free throw, it ain't no different than losing on 25.5 points or 30.5 PRA. It's the same to me. It's the same to me. Carson. He's linking some Embiid points, some Damian Lillard points, some Steph Curry points, some Yusuf Nurkic turnovers. All right, Carson, I'm going to circle back to that. I ain't going to forget about your super chat, Carson. We're going to get there. We need one more pick from this Detroit-Chicago game to finish off our 6 pick. We're going for 25x. Y'all been saying something about Patrick Williams. I have not explored this yet. Let's go look at Patrick Williams real quick. Y'all are saying go under on his points at 10.5. I saw some people say under on Patrick Williams' points. Let's go see. Maybe we need to sprinkle in at least one under to unlock that 25x. Listen, Patrick Williams at 10.5 points, gang. He's averaging just 10 for the season. That's obviously less than 10.5. He's 17 for 44. Just a 39% hit rate. Things have not looked so great for Patrick Williams in the last 30 games. 13 for 30, 43%. But in the last 10 games, that number drops even further. Just 3 out of his last 10, covering 10.5 points. That's 11.8 points per game. He had a couple of scoring outbursts, one being against Brooklyn, one being against Philly, one against Oklahoma City. All right, he had some good games against them. Outside of that, though, he has been hanging out down below 10 or less points. So 3 out of his last 10, 30% hit rate. He's already played the Detroit Pistons once. My man only managed to put in 8 points in that game. All right. So maybe we do look at Patrick Williams for an underplay, but I will only do that if it is a plus EV play, meaning I need to see some juice on the under for Patrick Williams. Let's go take a look at the sports books. Ooh, I can't do it. Not when he's projected for 12.5 points. Not whenever we're seeing minus 130 odds to go over 10.5 points. Minus 135 on BetMGM. There's too much juice coming in on the over for me to click the under. I know what the game logs say, but I can't go against the grain. I got to go with it. And Patrick Williams is not going to be that guy for me, man. Not going to be that guy for me. Everyday Fantasy coming through with another super chat. He says, what about DDR, DeMar DeRozan? Is he going to find himself getting a couple of assists today? Well, if we like Vucevic to have a big scoring game, if we like Zach LaVine to have a big scoring game, maybe somebody like DeMar DeRozan is dropping the ball off more than he is scoring the ball. We haven't really talked about DeMar DeRozan. What kind of role does he play today? If we see what we hope that we see, which is Vucevic and Zach LaVine balling out, right? Maybe DeMar DeRozan's dropping off some assists. Let's take a look at it. Last 5 games, he's 2 for 5. Gonna have to maybe take some risk here. Maybe is this the one where we take a little risk? Take a little risk possibly. He's 23 for 41, which is above 50%. That's 56% hit rate. Things have kind of picked up here in the last 10 games. We're starting to see maybe a little bit more green than normal with DeMar DeRozan. 6 out of his last 10, 60% hit rate when it comes to these assists. We take a look here. He's hitting in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 out of his last 10, 11, 12, 13. 9 out of 13. That's not too terrible. That's not terrible, right? He had 5 the last time he played against Detroit. We haven't seen DeMar DeRozan back out on the court since January 9th. It's been a 10-day layoff for DDR. So DeMar DeRozan, maybe he comes out a little bit rusty buckets tonight. Maybe he's looking to facilitate a little bit more to get his legs back under him. He's been out for 10 days now, out from a basketball court. So, whew, I could see it. I can kind of see it, Everyday Fantasy. I'm not going to say that I feel super strong about it, but I can kind of see it. He's at 4.5 assists, projected for exactly 4.5 assists. But again, we're getting betting odds, juice, coming in on the under, and I just can't bring myself to go against it. I can't take the over on a prop with minus 110, plus 102 odds, plus 100. I can't. everyday fantasy. I can't do it. You might be right, though. It might end up hitting. What else we got? Ao Desumu with 1-3. Whew. No, I don't know about that. Three-Headed Goats Entertainment says Isaiah Stewart under fantasy score. Whew. Whew. Emerson Baby Gap shirt. What's the story on Kobe White? He's been playing well because of D Rose was out. Derrick Rose is in New York, buddy. You talking about DeRozan? Man, this last pick, huh? This last pick's a real booger. Jaden saying DeMar DeRozan under PRA. That could be a move too. Let's look at that. Like I said, he's been out from the basketball court for like 10 days now. He's at 35.5 on PrizePicks. We're pretty much seeing him at even odds out on your favorite sports books. He's got a projection of 37.3, which is more than 35.5. I don't like that, man. Again, I just don't like that. If we were getting something that was like juiced under, I'd say, all right, let's ride. But we're not getting that right now. Mia Straw Hat 1 says, what about DeRozan for rebounds and assists? We talked about the assists. That one wasn't getting juice on the over, but the rebounds and assists are. Minus 118 odds on FanDuel, minus 120 odds on BetMGM. So we're seeing a little bit of juice coming in on DeRozan for the rebounds plus assists. Let's go take a look at that real quick. Rebounds and assists, 9.5. That's the number. He's projected for 9.9. Let's see how he's been hitting. He did hit this against Detroit the last time they played. He had 11 total rebounds plus assists. Taking a look here at the last 5 games. 2 for 5. Not great. Last 10 games, a little better. 6 for 10. And then the last 30 games, 21 for 30. 70%. Okay. Listen. This might be the one. 21 of his last 30. That's a 70% hit rate. We talked about him being on the road. That's not looking bad either, guys. For the season, 15 for 21 on the road with 71% hit rate at 9.5 rebounds plus assists. We can't sit here forever, all right? So I'm about to make an executive decision here. The Detroit defense has given up the 25th highest amount of rebounds, the 22nd highest amount of assists. We already talked about DeMar DeRozan's assists being a favorable option. We're just sprinkling in a few rebounds into this. I mean, look at this. 71% hit rate, 15 for 21 on the road this season, which is where he's going to be today, playing in France, in Paris. Averaging a healthy 10.4 on the road, nearly 1 rebound and assist higher than his line today at 9.5. He's already covered against Detroit once. We saw that. If he's going to be out on the floor and he's not going to be, let's say, sharp because he's missed the last 9 or 10 games, right? Not 9 or 10 days, I should say. 9 or 10 days he's been away from the court. Maybe the shot's not falling. Maybe his legs aren't there. Maybe he's used as a rebounder and an assist guy and he lets Levine and Vucevic go to work. I'm selling myself on this. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm selling myself on this. I think this is the way that I'm going to go here to finish this 6th pick off. DeMar DeRozan for more than 9.5 rebounds and assists. So I got 384 in my account. I'm going to take that $4 and I think I'm going to go ahead and put, we want to go 14. Oh, that's a good number. $14 to win $350. I'm locking it in. This is what I'm going with. You guys, I know there's some question marks in this little 6 pick here. I feel good about Vucevic. I feel good about Zach LaVine. I feel pretty good about Bogdanovic. Killian Hayes, that's probably the biggest question mark. There was some debate if Killian Hayes is going to make a free throw or not. God, I hope he does. He's a French guy. He's playing in France. Let's hope that the whistles are being blown in his favor. Jaden Ivey over 2.5 turnovers looks pretty strong. And DeMar DeRozan over rebounds and assists. Guys, you're welcome to tail if you want. You're welcome to change out some pieces if you want. Maybe there's something you don't like about this. That's fine. We're not all going to agree on pizza toppings, and we're not all going to agree on how this 6-pick is constructed. But we have spent some time today putting forth our best effort, and may the player prop gods be in our favor. Listen, for those of you who don't know, like I said, I'm giving away a free 2-pick every single day. Today's winner was Neville Anderson. Shout out to Neville, guys. All you got to do is be a subscriber, slap that like button, and once this show ends, you're going to have to go to the comment section. You're going to have to go and leave a comment, your favorite pick, your favorite prop of the day, all right? Neville, shout out to you. I don't know if you were here earlier. I saw you in the chat, but you won. So make sure you send me that DM. And then Carson coming through with the super chat. I told you we'd circle back to Carson. He's asking about 3 props in particular. He said, what about Embiid for his points? That was 1. He said, what about Curry for his points? What about? No, I'm down with some Curry. Being a fellow Curry myself. And what was the other one he was asking about? Nurkic. Oh, Damian Lillard points. He's liking Lillard for some points. And Nurkic for turnovers. So that's an interesting one. Where's that at? Where's his turnovers at? Boom. 2.5 turnovers. You did not specify, my friend Carson. Are we going over on all of these? More on all of these? Is that what you're telling us? Over on all of them. And you're saying take Embiid's first half points instead of his full game points. So we're going to do a swap-a-roo. We're going to head over to the NBA 1H section, and we're going to go find Joel Embiid. And you're saying take the first half on his points instead of the full game on his points. All right. That's what we got here. Thanks to Mr. Carson. He says click more on all of these. You got it, brother. There it is. Let's go ahead and take a look at these real quick for Carson. Carson, thank you for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate you, my friend. We're going to start things off with Steph Curry's points. He's wanting to take the over on Curry. Curry's sitting at 27.5 points today, going up against the Boston Celtics. So Curry just came back, January 10th. So he's played 4 games now. In those 4 games, he's had 24 points, 15 points, 20 points. So he's gone under in 3 out of his last 4 games. But then he exploded against the Washington Wizards in his last game with 41. Now he's going up against Boston, a team that he knows very well from their NBA final rivalry, right? Let's take a look here at Mr. Steph Curry. He's at 27.5 points. He's hit this in 17 out of 30 games played this season. Tonight, he's going to be on the road in Boston, which is worth noting, because we're going to take a look at the splits here. Curry at home, 28.8 points. All right, Curry on the road, 29.8 points. So he scores more points on the road this season, or has been, than he does at home. So that's a good sign, right? We're catching him in a positive splits situation, which is what we want. Now against the Boston Celtics, he's already played them once this year. Had 32 points against Boston back on December 10th. I think it's safe to say that Curry's back now, right? After that 41-point game against the Washington Wizards. I think it's safe to say Curry's probably back now after his little delay. Now we go and we take a look at last season, right? A lot of games played against the Boston Celtics. Obviously, they faced each other in the NBA Finals. Taking a look at these games here, he's 7 for 9. 7 for 9 against the Boston Celtics. That's a 78% hit rate. The Celtics don't seem to bother him whatsoever, averaging 28 points per game. He did have 2 duds in there, but most of the games he was a stud. Only 2 games where he was a dud. Now we can take this a step further. We can take a look at games played in Boston. Clicking the away splits option here, you can see that Steph Curry is a perfect 4 out of his last 4 playing against the Boston Celtics in Boston. So Curry excels on the road against the Celtics. That's 30 points, 31 points, 43 points, and 34 points scored for Mr. Steph Curry. So I like that. I'm in with you on the over on Steph Curry. Historical game logs against Boston look very, very good. I've got Steph Curry projected for 26.8 points. That's close enough for me to take a stab, take a shot. Shout out to OJ. But yeah, 27.5 points. He's a betting favorite to go over on some of these books, betting favorite to go under on some of these other books, but I think we're going to just ride with the historical values, right? The fact that he has gone over more often than not against Boston, I think that's a good look. So we'll start with that one. I'm down with you on that one. Let's go Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is your next guy. You're liking Damian Lillard to go over his points prop of 31.5 against the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, if this looks good, I might just have to ride this 4 pick along with you, Carson. It might just have to be another play that I make with you. Let's take a look at Lillard, though, before we get too ahead of ourselves and too excited. Lillard this season, 13 for 32 at 31.5 points. That's not a great hit rate. That's only 41%, but he has been rather spicy here in the last 5 to 10 games. 4 out of his last 5, he's hit the over. That's an 80% hit rate. 6 out of his last 10, that's a 60% hit rate. He's averaging 33.3 points per game in his last 10 games. Over those last 5 games, averaging 40 points per game. Yeah, he's been on one. He's definitely been on one. Versus the Philadelphia 76ers, no games this season against Philly, but we take a quick glimpse at last season, what he did against the 76ers. 20 points at Philadelphia, that's a big under. 39, that's a big over. So he's 1 out of his last 2 against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now he's going to be playing at home tonight. So let's take a look at his home and road splits. At home, 30.1 points per game. That's going to be higher than his road splits of just 28.6. So we're catching him at home tonight, which is a good thing because he does average more points per game at home than he does on the road. So that's looking pretty promising. Quickly getting you a projection here on Damian Lillard at 31.5 points. Got him projected for 30.8. Again, close. He's in the vicinity, in the neighborhood of 31.5, but slightly under. And then he is a slight betting favorite to go over on the sports books at minus 120 odds on your DraftKings and your BetMGMs. All right, so there's Lillard and Curry. You also talked about some Yusuf Nurkic over turnovers. Let's go look at the big fella. He's going up against Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. Nurkic, 2.5 turnovers, has gone over this number in 4 out of his last 5 games. Again, I don't have any projections, unfortunately, for turnovers, but we can take a closer look at some of these game logs for Yusuf Nurkic using props.cash. Shout out to props.cash, man. Making my life a lot easier. All right, Nurkic overall, just 18 for 39. That's a 46% hit rate, but things have really picked up. In the last 10 games, Nurkic turning the ball over more often in the last 10 at 7 out of 10. That's a 70% hit rate. He's averaging 3.2 turnovers. We need at least 3 for him tonight, going up against Joel Embiid and this Philadelphia 76ers team. Now we can also take a look at the splits information for Yusuf Nurkic. Does he turn it over more or less when he plays at home? Tonight he's playing at home. He's averaging 2.5 turnovers per game at home. When he's on the road, 2.7. So he does average slightly more when he's playing outside of Portland versus when he's playing at home, which is the case tonight. He'll be playing at home. Okay. Now, what about against Philadelphia? No games played against them. Last season, he did play them twice. Ended up going 0 for 2. Only 1 turnover in 2 combined games. So that's not good. 0 for 2 against Philly. But that was last season. Last season was last season. But yeah, that's just worth noting that he did not turn it over very often against the Philadelphia 76ers in their 2 previous meetings. Now, what about centers against the Philadelphia 76ers? How many turnovers per game is Philadelphia forcing whenever they play against opposing centers? Well, we get our scroll on just a little bit. 2.8 turnovers per game. That kind of puts them right smack dab in the middle of the league. Kind of an average team over the last 7 games in terms of forcing turnovers when going up against opposing centers like Yusuf Nurkic. So I'm on the fence with Yusuf Nurkic. And then your last pick is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, indeed, is that dude. You're going first half points. You don't want to go full game points. You want to go first half points. And, I can't really argue. I can't really argue with Joel Embiid here. He's been awesome, right? Been a force to be reckoned with. Let's take a look at his first half logs here. 16.5 points. The magic number is 17. We need 17 or more points out of the big fella. He's been doing it a lot more lately than he did kind of the first quarter of the season. He's really picked up the pace in the second half of these like 33 games that he's played in. A lot more green bars here lately than we saw toward the beginning of the season. Now he's going to be on the road. Does he score more or less at home or on the road? At home, he's averaging 17.4. first half points per game. On the road, not quite as many, 17, but he has hit in 5 out of his last 6 games on the road. How did he do against Portland last season? Good question. Let's find out. No games played against the Portland Trail Blazers. Let's take this a step further. We're going to go outside the box here and look at something else. We're going to go Joel Embiid, first half points versus Yusuf Nurkic logs. Let's include playoffs just in case they've ever faced off in the postseason against one another. All right, Joel Embiid, 5 games played against Yusuf Nurkic. In those 5 games, he has never, and the rock means never, gone over 16.5 first half points against Yusuf Nurkic. Take that for what you will. Make of it what you wish. The last time he faced Nurkic was back on August 9th of 2020. It's been a while. Prior to that, 2017, 2016. It's safe to say that Joel Embiid's a better player today than he was back in 2017 and maybe even back in 2020, right? He's having a very good season. So, just wanted to point it out. This is what he's done against Yusuf Nurkic in the first half when it comes to points for his career. All right? He's never done it before. Maybe he does it tonight. Who knows? But yeah, Joel Embiid, 16.5 points. I think my favorite, all right, just to recap here, my favorite would probably be the first 2 that we talked about. Steph Curry's points, Damian Lillard's points. Like I said, I'm on the fence with Nurkic in these turnovers. Maybe he gets it done. And then Joel Embiid, he's the man, but he's in a negative split situation against a guy who's going to be a tough matchup for him in Yusuf Nurkic. I'm probably not going to go Joel Embiid, but there you go. We really looking at games for 2017? God damn it. Yes, we are, Fume. We really are. I know. It's come down to this, Fume. Looking at games from 2017. Yeah, I got to get out of here before I catch a case. Good luck on your entries tonight. Let's hope we cash that 6 pick. Peace.